How do you build an empire? You start with land, an army, a treasury, and a code of laws. You build it with legitimacy, with bureaucracy, and with force. But what if you have none of that? What if your only territory is the shifting sea? Your only subjects are thousands of cutthroats and thieves. And what if you are a prostitute, with nothing to your name? This is the story of how a woman with nothing built the world's deadliest pirate empire. And it is a masterclass in the brutal mechanics of power. Our story begins at the turn of the 19th century, in the South China Sea. This was the richest trade route on earth, a shimmering artery of commerce connecting the Qing Empire to the world. Ships heavy with silk, tea, and porcelain navigated these waters, making them a paradise for predators. This paradise was ruled by a loose confederation of pirate fleets, each identified by a colored flag: red, black, white, blue, yellow, and green. They were a fractured, disorganized swarm, constantly fighting each other as much as they fought merchant ships. They were a plague upon the seas, but they were not an empire. The most powerful of these was the Red Flag Fleet, led by the formidable Zhang Yi. In 1801, his men raided a floating brothel in Canton and took a prostitute named Xiang captive. But Ching Shih, as she would come to be known, was a master strategist trapped in a courtesan's body. She saw the pirate fleet not as a prison, but as a weapon waiting to be forged. She refused to be a mere concubine. Instead, she demanded a seat at the table, a formal contract, making her an equal partner in command, with a full share of the plunder. It was an unprecedented demand, a partnership forged in pure ambition. In 1807, Zhang Yi was killed in a typhoon. The pirate confederation, held together by his reputation, was on the verge of splintering back into chaos. This was Ching Shih's moment. Her process for building an empire from the brink of collapse can be broken down into three master strokes. First, she secured absolute loyalty. Her greatest rival was Guo Po Dai, commander of the powerful Black Flag Fleet. He saw a vacuum of power and moved to fill it, but Ching Shih moved faster. She formed a strategic and personal alliance with her late husband's adopted son, the charismatic young warrior Chung Po Sai. With his military backing, she politically isolated Guo, brought other fleet commanders into her fold, and made it clear that the Red Flag Fleet was not just intact, but stronger than ever under her unified command. The hierarchy was no longer an alliance, it was a pyramid, with her at the apex. Second, she replaced chaos with absolute, terrifying order. Ching Shih instituted a code of laws that was brutally simple and brutally effective. For example, all plunder was public property until divided. A pirate who kept so much as a single hidden coin for himself was not fined or flogged, he was executed. This wasn't about morality, it was about destroying the freelance greed that tore other pirate gangs apart. Her laws extended even to their captives. Female prisoners were to be protected. Any act of rape against a captive was punishable by immediate death. Unattractive women were to be released unharmed. Attractive ones could be taken as wives, but the pirate had to be faithful and care for her. It was a startling mix of ruthless efficiency and cold pragmatism, all designed to forge a disciplined, cohesive force. Third, she built a self-sustaining economy. This wasn't random looting, it was systematized maritime government. Her agents, carrying the Red Flag Fleet's pass, would walk into coastal villages and present the terms. Pay a regular tax, and your village and your fishing boats would be protected from all other pirates. Refuse, and you would be made an example of. She became the unofficial, and most feared, tax collector of the Guangdong coast, with a more reliable income stream than the local governor, with a loyal army, a strict legal code, and a stable economy. Ching Shih's empire was now a true state, and it was ready for war. The Qing Emperor, Jia, could no longer tolerate this parallel government. He sent his finest provincial admiral to crush her. In the autumn of 1809, the imperial fleet blockaded the pirates at the mouth of the Pearl River, known as the Tiger's Mouth. They believed they had trapped her. They were wrong. Ching Shih knew these waters better than they did. For weeks, she used her smaller ships to probe and harass the government fleet. Then, when a favorable tide came with the new moon, she gave the order. Her entire fleet, a forest of over 400 masts, charged out at once, turning the government's blockade into a death trap. The imperial fleet was shattered. It wasn't just a defeat, it was a humiliation. The admiral, in disgrace, committed suicide. The empire, desperate, enlisted the help of Portuguese and even British naval ships, but even this coalition couldn't break her power. Ching Shih's fleet was now so large, so organized, and so battle-hardened that it was, without question, the deadliest naval power in the South China Sea. Ching Shih had proven that an empire is not just land and titles. It is a system of control, organization, and resource management. By mastering that system better than her enemies, she built an empire that couldn't be beaten. And so, the government did the only thing it could. It offered peace. She didn't just accept a pardon. She negotiated the terms of her surrender from a position of absolute strength. She walked away with all her wealth, pensions for her followers, and a title of nobility. She died peacefully in 1844, a wealthy grandmother. She proved that an empire is not a birthright of kings, but a system that can be mastered by anyone ruthless and brilliant enough to seize it. What do you think was the most critical step in her empire building? Let us know in the comments below.